boatload of money to help us do this work? And I said, yes, we are. Yes, we are. So, but it's as you guys know, it's really not about the money. Money follows vision. And our dollars wouldn't do a thing without the hard work, the vision, and the collaboration that the folks in the room represent. And so it is truly with humility and appreciation that I'm here today. And I want to just echo Bill's words of thanks to the organizing committee that brought this group together. Look at this fabulous turnout. We have over 80 people in the room today, so that in itself says a lot about the opportunity that we're here to explore. I really I feel particularly honored to be here with you because I know that the Platinum Foundation and you share a commitment to leadership. To helping communities create and claim futures that are resilient, that are vibrant, and connected. It's taken a long time to get here. There's lots of people who have worked hard to make this day possible, and the conversations we're going to have here today have been a long time coming. And perhaps paradoxically, though the conversations have been a long time coming, this is exactly the right time to take them forward. As we all know, for most things in life, timing is everything. And today is the right time for these conversations, thanks for all the hard work that's been done to prepare the ground. We're ready for today thanks to all the conversations that have been taking place at kitchen tables, in bleachers while watching our kids do sports, at Chamber of Commerce committee meetings, in city council chambers, in county boardrooms, and here today now across county lines. We're standing on the shoulders of many who have come before us. We're going to have a bigger conversation here today because you recognize that this important work can only be done together. None of us can do this alone. The kind of challenge and collaboration that you have had the courage to imagine by calling this regional gathering is going to demand hard work and most of all, sustained work to bring it into the world. But I bring you today a message of hope and encouragement that it can be done, and in fact, it is being done in towns and regions all across our state. This sense that we're always building on the vision and hard work of those who've come before us is especially fresh in my mind today, thanks to an extended road tour that a bunch of us from Blandon's team just finished last week as part of a kind of show and tell trip that we took, put together for a couple of program evaluators that the federal government set out here to take a look at the impact of our MERC work. Yep, you heard right, I said MERC. How many of you are familiar with that happy acronym? MERC, M-I-R-C, it stands for Minnesota Intelligent Rural Communities Project. And I know nobody wants to be a dumb rural community. In 2010, the National Telecommunications Information Agency of the U.S. Department of Commerce, NTIA, awarded Blandon Foundation a $4.8 million BTOP grant, Broadband Technology Opportunity Program grant, to administer MERC. It was one of only 44 sustainable adoption grants that were awarded nationwide as part of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, ARA. Project partners provided $1.5 million in matching funds for a total investment of $6.3 million in rural Minnesota to spend over 3 years, and that program's just finishing up this month. Our MERC project took a multi-sector, comprehensive approach to rural Minnesota broadband adoption. We targeted residents, small businesses, local governments, community education programs, libraries, and social and health service providers. Our aim was to support and encourage rural Minnesota community efforts to compete and thrive in a broadband economy. We sought to support the energy, ideas, and imagination of our community partners to promote broadband adoption, job growth, and wealth creation. MERC was designed to reach rural counties through education, training, technical assistance, and by removing barriers to broadband adoption. At its heart, MERC was about helping community champions create a culture of use that enables and encourages business owners and entrepreneurs, students and their parents and teachers, public sector employees and the publics that they serve, to use broadband-enabled technology to make their dreams for a more prosperous and inclusive future come true. The project is on target to reach its goals of reducing the gap between rural Minnesota and metro broadband adoption, accelerating adoption by 2% over statistically anticipated growth, and increasing broadband subscribers by 38,550 more folks than could otherwise have been expected. I remain full today of the bright impressions of what we saw on our MERC tour last week. In every community that we visited, we saw community champions just like you, working hard to reduce the digital divide, enrich and increase educational opportunities, improve government services while lowering the cost of delivery, engage youth meaningfully in their community, involve folks in their own health care, and expand markets by using social media to engage customers in creative ways. And what's most impressive is that in our whirlwind tour of 5 communities, we saw only a fraction of all of the activity underway across Minnesota right now to claim the future that's possible through advanced telecommunication networks and the applications that they support. All across rural Minnesota, from Akeley to Windham, from Grand Marais to Grand Rapids to Sauk Rapids, connectivity and residents trained and committed to using it are erasing isolation and distance, the twin challenges that historically have plagued rural economies. What we saw was a live and in-person demonstration of those famous words by futurist William Gibson, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed yet." Based on my nearly 10 years of experience doing this work in communities, I've come to believe that the main reason that the future is showing up unevenly is all about local leadership or the lack thereof. Ask to hear the creation story of any cool thing that's going on in rural communities, and you'll hear a story about a team of people that joined hands to bring a dream to life. In Grand Rapids High School, we sat in on a physics class that was being taught via telepresence equipment to 6 kids who were sitting 40 miles up the road in Big Fork. In Sauk Rapids, we heard how area businesses have collaborated to increase from 0 to over 16 the number of public Wi-Fi hotspots available to local residents and visitors, and how those local businesses are cross-marketing one another by using catchy window displays to draw customers from one hotspot to another. As recently as just a few months ago, anybody driving up Highway 10 and checking Google Maps to find a local coffee shop would have thought that nobody drinks coffee in central Minnesota. Now, even the little shop like Liquid Assets in Sartell has claimed its place on Google Maps. In Cass Lake, we met with Janice Gale, director of the tribe's temporary employment program. Janice has woven digital literacy training into the tribe's day labor program, so that now each day laborer has the skills and support that she or he needs to use the internet for education and job hunting. So instead of showing up to chop wood or mow grass, they have an opportunity to look for more challenging employment. And at the offices of WTIP Community Radio in Grand Marais, we heard from an uncommon partnership between the radio station, the high school, and local government to add video and audio content to the station's efforts to tell community stories. Well, it turns out that thanks to WTIP's hard work, they now have viewers and listeners from well beyond the boundaries of Cook County. For example, we heard the story of how sometime last fall they were live streaming a girls' high school basketball team game. The station got their first notice that something was off with the broadcast by email from a viewer in Hawaii. All of these stories underscore the importance of connections to community vibrancy and resilience. And when I talk about connections, I'm talking about both human connections and the kinds of connections that technology makes possible. The exciting thing about today's meeting is that we're going to be talking about both kinds of connections here today. So having shared just a couple of the anecdotes from our Broadband Road Tour last week, I'd like to take just a few minutes to share or to add some general observations about what we've learned and observed through MERC and the work that preceded it. It's kind of a top 10 lessons learned list. So first, it's our observation that local governments generally are the leaders in promoting enhanced broadband in their communities, usually in response to identified community needs that are voiced by business owners and citizens. We've sure heard that story in Mille Lacs County. Well-served communities rarely engage in significant discussions of municipal telecommunication investments. Broad-based initiatives that bring together community champions from multiple sectors, healthcare and education and government and business, can be effective in identifying, describing, quantifying, and aggregating demand. Second, across wide swaths of rural Minnesota, the telecommunications network is quite old and inadequate for the task of providing ubiquitous, high-speed internet. In order to deliver high-capacity broadband everywhere across the state, this network must be upgraded. Due to demographics and terrain, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, some parts of rural Minnesota cannot support market-driven telecommunication investment. The costs are too high, with too few customers to generate the returns on investment that's necessary to attract market capital. It appears that absent incentives for existing and prospective telecommunication providers to leverage private and public sector investments, it's going to be difficult for Minnesota to reach the ubiquity goals that Bill reminded us of in his opening remarks. Some mix of policy and finance options, including both public financing and public-private partnerships, are going to be needed to help address this market failure. Third, our experience supports research results showing that economic growth follows telecommunication investment. Companies seeking new locations quickly bypass communities without world-class broadband. Many of Minnesota's highest earners, including retired or semi-retired professionals, would prefer to live next to a lake or a hobby farm, and unconnected communities stand little chance of attracting or retaining these potential taxpayers, not to mention recent college graduates. Fourth, if you build it, they will come, does not apply to broadband. Concerted, sustained, cross-sectoral engagement at the community level is required to create the culture of use necessary to maximize the benefits of our broadband-enabled economy. Peer-based learning formats that encourage local businesses to share practices, questions, and experiments with one another have proven to be an effective, low-cost, and easily sustainable tool for building a community's technological savvy. Fifth, communities know best, and each community is unique. Involving citizens directly in articulating their community's broadband adoption and utilization goals can help to catalyze the sustained civic engagement required for broadband adoption. Sixth, broadband is not an end in itself. The need to increase broadband access and utilization can be most effectively promoted as a means to a broader ends of increased economic vitality and improved quality of life, something we all want for our communities. Our project has been successful in framing increased broadband use as part of an integrated economic development framework that we call Intelligent Communities, and it includes 5 pillars or 5 aspects to it: the broadband infrastructure, knowledge workers, innovation, marketing, and digital inclusion. And this kind of holistic approach to broadband adoption has really proven successful. Seventh, communication is key. Signage, community self-marketing, local media engagement, and the use of social media are effective and low-cost ways to spur and sustain the energy and excitement around community projects, including broadband enhancements. Eighth, recognizing and authentically engaging the talents of young people as a key community asset can bring energy and sustainability to any community initiative. In MERC communities, for example, youth have served as co-trainers, technology mentors, partners in community refurbishment projects, and inspired community messengers using video and other social media to promote their communities. And ninth, cynicism and apathy can be powerful disincentives to the level of community engagement required to drive sustained technical literacy and build that culture of use I've been talking about. So effective meeting facilitation can make a big difference in keeping folks coming back to the planning and implementation table. People need to feel that their time and energy is well spent, and that takes good staff work and support. And 10th, this work is not for the faint of heart. It takes major league stick-to-itiveness. And so it's important to celebrate smaller successes along the way, like the convening of this meeting today, which itself I think is a really important milestone in the history of folks in this region of the Strait trying to come together. So congratulations for getting this far and seeing down the road around the next corner of what we can do together as a region that we can't do alone in our own counties or our own cities or our own townships. So I'm really very pleased to be able to share with you the good news that I signaled at the very beginning, that the Blandin Foundation trustees have chosen to continue our investment in rural Minnesota broadband. Knowing that there were good partners out there in rural Minnesota, you folks, eager to continue this work, was a key driver of our trustees' decision to keep going. The trustees have committed an additional $1.5 million over the next 2 years to continue to offer many of the programs that we developed through MERC and its predecessors. We've rebranded this work the Blandin Community Broadband Program. How many of you out there in the audience are alumni of the Blandin Community Leadership Program? I'm just curious. We've got some alums in the audience, that's great. So we're really excited about partnering with the Blandin Community Broadband Program with all of you. We've identified 9 new community partners in this work, and they include a number of the counties here today. Mille Lacs County, the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, Kanabec County, and Fond du Lac Band of Ojibwe. But many of the broadband-focused grants and technical assistance programs that we're offering are also available to all rural Minnesota communities. Bill and I have brought some fact sheets, and they're over here on the table, the Broadband Blandin's table over here, that describe the various programs that we have available throughout the year. And I also brought a bunch of copies of a really fabulous video called Their Journey to High-Speed Internet, which tells the story of 3 of our communities in rural Minnesota that have set out on the journey that you're setting out on today. At the Blandin Foundation, we've been in the hope business for 70 years. We know that when rural communities are hopeful, they claim their futures and make ambitious choices. We also know that bringing people together to be hopeful and make those choices takes hard work and the leadership that you've shown by being here today. So we on the Blandin team really look forward to working with you and your communities today and over the next 2 years and always. So good luck to all of us today. It's wonderful to be here, and let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernadine. Our next speaker is Bill Hoffman, and Bill can come on up. Bill's with Connect Minnesota. Connect Minnesota is charged with providing great data about broadband availability in Minnesota.